Hello, I'm Nelson, and welcome to my channel, The Nel B Life. Well, we're continuing our journey through the cultural side of Ghana, and we arrived at Nyame Bekyere, and we had our traditional Akan renaming ceremony, and now we are transitioning over to our Birthright journey, and we'll have a luncheon. This is a beautiful facility that Diallo Sunbray with the Adinkra group has developed. We're now gathering for lunch, and then we'll have the Birthright reveal.
So every mother has an X chromosome that they give to their child, and it doesn't mix with any other DNA. So you're able to isolate that mitochondrial DNA and trace that back 500 to 2,000 years. What makes African ancestry special is African ancestry has the largest database of continental African DNA. So essentially what happens when you do this DNA testing is they take your DNA and they look at your strand. And they compare that to the other strands that are in their database to see what it's closest to, right? So you take yours and say, okay, this is your haplogroup, and then you look at it, the database of what you have. Ancestry.com, all those others, the largest number of samples that any one of them have is maybe 3,000. African Ancestry has 33,000.
Yeah.
It's an all-black company. Dr. Rick Kittles, who wrote the Black Geneticist, Dr. Gina Page, they created this company 27 years ago. And when I started my company, the first thing I did was reached out to them and said, hey, I think it would be dope and really interested if we're able to offer and have people find out where they're from when they come to Africa. At first, we were worried about being in Ghana but finding out we're somewhere else. And we thought that it would make a difference, but it hasn't made a difference. Most people just love to find out where they're from. So we have the Harleys who've taken the test. Now, Langston took the Patrick Clan test. The Patrick Clan test, only men can take. Only men can trace their father's side because fathers only pass the Y chromosome to boys. So only men can trace the father's side. Men or women can trace the maternal. And it's your mothers, or it's your fathers along that line. So we did both of their, both of them took the test. Langston and Patrick Clan traced his paternal, and Patricia, the Patrick Clan, she traced her maternal. So I'll start with Langston. So Langston took his Patrick Clan test. And one of the interesting things that we found, and this is, I think, so apropos considering your visit yesterday, is one of the interesting things we found in African ancestry is the difference in our Patrick Clan and our Matrick Clan tests in terms of finding results that are African. Your Matrick Clan test, the mother's clan, 97% of the time people take that test, we find African. When we trace the father's side, only 67% of the time do we find African results. And why do you think that is?
Because of the white infiltration.
Right, because 500 to 2,000 years ago, you could be black as coal. But that Y chromosome could be something that happened 500 to 2,000 years ago, a long time ago. So whenever you're looking at Matrick Clan and Patrick Clan, those are some of the results. So I had a conversation with Langston earlier about his Patrick Clan results. So we trace his father's ancestry to Portugal and Spain. To Portugal and Spain. So that's a part of our history. 60s, just coming up, right? So our history, those parts of our history, it's important for us to understand, are smaller parts of our history. African people had civilizations thousands of years. So it's always important to understand when we talk about slavery, transatlantic slave trade, and all of that, is to look at that as an interruption of our history, not the beginning or the start. For the African American, the Negro is what created us, right? It's what got us to this side of it, but our memory takes us back further. So for Langston, those are your results, and we know why that happened. But I think, have you done your master plan?
No, I have not, but it explains one of my illnesses in regards to I have Paget's disease, and that's normally an area you just mentioned, Portugal and Spain. Because normal Africans do not have that particular disease, less than 2%. I just have to get it.
So what's his African ancestry?
That's the thing. We didn't find African ancestry on his father's side. On the Patrick line, he only traced his father's side. So with Ancestry.com and some of these other ones, they do something called an admixture. That's when I just I just take a piece of your DNA. That's everything mixed up together. I didn't separate it. It's just all that's inside of you. And that's why you get these percentages. Okay. And that's why with Ancestry.com, those percentages are changed. Because if they wind up getting some new samples, then now, or you're no longer 33%, you're 35%, or you're 31%, and they give it to you based on country groups. And none of them can give you the ethnic group. We also have to remember that modern day countries, the borders are only 200 years old. So prior to the Great Conference in 1884, when Europeans divided up Africa and split it amongst each other, there was no Ghana, Nigeria, this. It was a Ghana empire, the Mali empire, and it was just ethnic groups of people. So there wasn't these geographical borders that we have now. They're only 200 years old. America's going to be 250 this year, right? So for Patricia, we found the ancestry from your mother's side in West Africa. And see how I make this interesting. The country where we found your ancestry just won the AFCON, the African Football League tournament. The country code is +221. It is a majority Muslim country. It has one of the youngest presidents in Africa.
Nigeria?
It is the home. I'm guessing nobody else.
Nelson, get quiet.
It is the home.
No longer than I am.
Of the original jollof rice.
Oh.
The original jollof rice. Jollof rice comes from this country. So we found your ancestry, and now that I'm looking at it, Jesus. We found your ancestry from the Wolof people in Senegal. Oh. From the Wolof people in Senegal. So jollof comes from the Wolof people. That's why whenever you hear about these jollof wars, who's better, Nigeria or Ghana, everybody's fighting for second place.
Okay.
Because the originator is Senegal. Jollof, Wolof, it comes from the Wolof. So what we're going to have African Ancestry do is release the results to you, and then in your email you will receive a packet of information about the Wolof people. Wolof people, they're artistic people. They're incredible dancers and musicians. They're warriors, and you look Wolof. As I'm looking at you, oh yes, guaranteed. You meet somebody from Senegal and they'll tell you look like you're from Senegal.
Wow, that's my next step.
Excellent. We'd love to take you to Senegal too. We do trips there as well.
Wow.
So yeah, but when we do those trips, for example, you'll go to Senegal. We'll actually take you to a Wolof village. So you can see
Wonderful.
Okay.
Congratulations.
So
That's exciting.